Good afternoon. The sun is shining. I've got. I just wanted to talk about COVID-19. I am having my latest booster later today in about a couple of hours, and I got into a conversation with a good friend yesterday afternoon about it. My good friend doesn't believe in vaccination or boosters, and it just became one of those conversations where sorry, I'm sitting here with my sunglasses on like a dick indoors. Yeah, look, the conversation about COVID and vaccines and boosters and so on, really it falls pretty squarely into the category of politics and religion. Just don't bother having the conversation is my advice. But I'm impartial in terms of I understand that it's quite a easily recognisable divide between the do's and the don'ts. I was informed at the beginning of the pandemic by the NHS that I was clinically vulnerable to COVID because my medication is an immunosuppressant for my ulcerative colitis. So I just went with how I felt about it. There was no point in doing any research on any of it because nobody knew anything except the conspiracy theorists all over the internet who knew everything about it and knew that we were all being injected with microchips. I had that conversation quite a few times during the first year or so after the pandemic hit, because I did get a bit frustrated with people strongly kind of trying to force their opinions down my throat about it all, and the whole microchip thing. I just used to say to people, look, if you've got a smartphone in your normal out of prison life or in prison, whatever it is, they don't need to microchip you, my friend. They know more about you than you do from your phone. So there's no real particular counter argument to that, in my opinion. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. And that's the kind of, it's the bottom line with the whole COVID argument. I was the first person in my entire prison to have my first jab. I was happy enough to have it, and then I had obviously my second jab around about 6 weeks later, and I've had boosters whenever my sort of ticket has come up. I might be wrong, but I'm still alive, just so you know. I accept that I might be wrong. What can be difficult at times is that the naysayers, they are adamant that they are 100% correct, and they're not, because nobody fucking knows. So I don't mind having a conversation about it, but ultimately you just reach an impasse if the person you're speaking to is fixed on their opinion, and it's an opinion, not a fact, and I'm fixed on my opinion. Then you're going to have to agree to disagree, and that's what happened yesterday. It was all good fun. But I understand that, people, they nail their colours to the mast and they don't budge. In the conversation was discussed, do we even hear anything about COVID anymore? Do we ever hear that anyone's actually dying from it now? You don't have to look too far to find out some statistics on that. And yes, people are still dying from COVID. Even then, the naysayers will say, well, it wasn't actually COVID that killed them, it was it. Well, let's not split hairs. You know, the statistics are notoriously difficult to decipher at times, and I'm not going to bother trying. That, in my opinion, the reason we don't hear much about COVID anymore is because it's not newsworthy anymore to the media outlets. They have not necessarily bigger fish to fry, but other fish to fry, and good luck to them. You know, everything, no matter what it is, no matter how serious, no matter how big it is, once the viewing figures start to tail off a bit, then they'll move on to something else. So I'm going to have my booster. Like I say, I've had all of them. I've had my jabs. I'm still alive. I don't notice any difference in me. I'm not suddenly turning into a cyborg or anything else. I feel exactly the same as I did before my first jab, and you know, so I take my choice. I don't ram it down anyone's throat. Everyone is free to make their own choice and their own decision on the whole topic. But I just thought I'd share that. I'm sure that there will be plenty of feedback on it, and it will be a split of absolutely right, absolutely wrong. Well, in both camps, you're all absolutely wrong, because nobody really knows. And even when we do know, which will be 10, 20 years down the line, the statistics will be fudged. The victor writes history. So what we are told and what goes down in history in terms of COVID in the United Kingdom will be whatever the powers that be decide is the best fit for them. And let's be honest, they'll decide what's the best fit for winning votes. It's as simple as that, because everything that's done by politicians is only about maintaining their position, or improving it if you're in the opposition parties. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna I've got about an hour and a half now before I need to go. It's only down the road. I'm going to do some work on the book. It's coming along. It's not easy, and there's a lot to do with me and Mark. But I'll speak to Mark in a bit, and we'll try and march forward a little bit more. What else? Oh, for those of you who have noticed, I do have another sty in the same place. I took a little detour on my way home just now to a large Boots chemist, and I was looking for a product called Goldeneye that a few people have insisted I should get some of that. And would you believe it, Boots don't stock it. And I said, okay, have you got anything else specifically for styes? And the woman said, yeah, what you need to do is go home, get a flannel, dip it in hot water and rub it on your eye. And I just was like, fucking hell, is that the best you can do? I did try and explain, look, the last one got badly infected. I don't think a hot flannel is really going to make a lot of difference. And she agreed. So I was left right back at square one. I've got some Savlon. I've been using that, but it is a little bit worse today than it was yesterday, and who knows where I'll end up tomorrow, but we'll see. In the meantime, have a lovely afternoon. I've had a pretty nice weekend, and that's been a bonus. And the sun's out. I'm going to go and sit outside for a little bit. Adios, amigos.